Bring it a little closer.
You know how it is with this thing.
Yeah.
This is very pretty. It's board.
It
Yeah,
really
the
is.
roadies are the best.
So, I've
And
never seen
it's
this.
so
It's
cool because they
gorgeous.
have
Steve,
voice stuff.
Steve. Can you get the cups?
Do you want this cup right here? Whose cup is this? Yours?
Oh, that is mine. Sorry.
Cool. Whenever you're
Test, test. 1, 2. All right. Am I in charge or you in charge? Go ahead, power plant. Come on.
No, you're right. You're right. You do it.
All right. Welcome y'all to the Big Green DAO Power Plant Podcast. We are live in Denver at the 3rd annual. And so I'm sitting next to some amazing folks. Lacy, who y'all know, but also a special guest, Catherine. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
And that's Catherine Burns.
Oh,
Get it right.
Yeah, burn that fire. We're about to make it hot, y'all. Well, Catherine, Mrs. Burns, thank you for being here with us today. I just met you like less than 24 hours ago, but from what I do know, you helped coach our amazing Big Green DAO folks to do some amazing storytelling yesterday evening. But before we get to that, let's just go ahead and introduce you. Tell us a little about your background and what you do.
Sure. So I was born and raised in small town Alabama. Went and then fled north as soon as I could. And
Old time.
yeah, amen. And then I spent about 10 years working in the film and television industry, which is what I've always wanted to do. I think partly because just as a little girl in a small town, that's kind of what you saw as art. Like there was a movie theater, there was a television. But at some point around age 30, I went into this period that I now think of that as sort of, is this all there is phase? And I wasn't really feeling it. And then one of my first nights in New York City, someone brought me to see this live storytelling show called The Moth. And in this show, it was real people on stage telling true stories from their life. And it absolutely blew my mind. I felt like it fixed everything that I was really not feeling about film and television, where it was just the person telling their story directly. Like in film and television, you'd have 15 people in the room just to tell a story of even an independent film. But this was just, you were hearing it straight from the person. It's simple light, simple sound. And I was mesmerized and started coming every single time. And eventually, one of their 2 employees quit.
All right.
And through a twist of fate, I was available and raised my hand and came on, I think.
Hey, we've seen you before.
And I was like, oh, I think I could I'll help out, for a little bit. And then 21 years later, I stepped down last summer. So I started out as a producer. I became the artistic director and was there for a really long time and loved, it was such a labor of love, not just for me, but for the entire team. And my heart will always be with them.
Well, we are amongst, an honorable person. I mean, the Moth, I listen on the radio in San Antonio, TPR, NPR comes on, and then most recently, I did a training with the Aspen Institute where they gave us a training on how to do a 5-minute story. And that was transformative for me because a lot of times I'm giving the Gardopia pitch, right? So I sort of have that down, I can do that in my sleep. But going outside of that and telling different types of stories, I was not very familiar with. So all I can say is that, the decade plus 2 decades that you put in has impacted probably millions, if not billions of people. Lacy, what do you think, man? You worked with her.
Yeah, I got to experience it firsthand. So I just want to say, no notes when you go up on that mic.
Okay.
Kept true to that tradition.
Yeah.
As the MC of our event, which was pretty dope. I think one of the coolest things that you did for us, and it's just reminding us that when you get up there and you speak, man, it's fun. Make it fun.
Make it fun.
Get them jitters out, you know what I mean? And I think that is such a great tip, especially for in correlations to our DAOs, like when they're throwing those elevator pitches and they're, doing their little moonshots, do it with a confidence and just love of what you're doing, it's gonna come off as authentic, when you enjoy what you say.
Totally, if you can convey why you love it, chances are they will too.
Yes.
I mean, and you can make someone love something they never even thought about 5 minutes before. I have seen that again and again when people tell stories about something, the audience afterwards will be like, well, I never once thought about, removing a tooth as a dental hygienist from their point of view, but my God, it's like it's so moving. I also find that a lot of people think that they have been through something that's so unique to them, like they feel alone, like there's a loneliness to it. And then all of a sudden, I've seen this so many times, they tell their story on stage and all these people are coming up to them being like, oh my goodness, I never knew that somebody else felt that way, or now I feel so much less stupid because I was thinking that, but I didn't want to tell anyone. Like, when you tell your story, it will set you free, but you will also set so many others free.
I like that. That's powerful, man. Like, I totally agree. Like, for instance, Jamala ending the talk last night.
Yes.
I mean, when he talked about like being in this new reality of like this is what he's gonna see. He's gonna see the ceiling the day that he dies.
Yeah.
And like that's sad because for me, to correlate to that, because I had talked about empathy when we began the session. Like you find yourself in these stories, right? And I remember being in a hooch, or I was laying down in a foxhole in Afghanistan.
Oh my God.
And I was like, man, like I felt that feeling. Like, yo, this is my reality, you know, and I just have to, I gotta accept that. And yeah, like this could be the last like time that I see this, only because here I am and surrounded by such violence. I like in war.
Yeah.
So like just the correlation between like how he felt, it brought up those feelings for me too. So like I could feel that hopelessness, but then I can also feel like the hope that he gave too. Like when he put his hands into the soil, when we were doing our pre-talk prior to us getting on stage. And I mean, it's just like relating to folks and invoking those type of emotions when you express your story, when you tell your story is extremely powerful.
Man, I'm feeling it right now. Y'all got hair standing up because I remember remembering when they were all telling their different stories. And like I told Jamal this morning when we were riding over here, like when he was starting to tell his story, you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
Like everybody was tuned in, everybody was listening. And so that's when you know that he's just engaging. And it's the truth. That's like the story that I told. I didn't make up a story. I told the story that I knew, right from the heart.
Yeah.
And so when you're telling that true story of your lived experience, whatever it might be, like that's going to resonate, right? And storytelling is so powerful, and that's one of the reasons we're here and we started this podcast, because we were like, yo, there are so many, like, the stories that are in this room right now.
Yeah.
You know, and so
we can't let it go to the grave without, you know, just sharing that with the world. Like seriously.
Has to. And so you as an OG helping, you know, bring that in, but you are also an OG. You started a podcast, you know, and you were telling me a little bit about it. But yeah, take me through that process.
Yeah. So when I first started the Moth, it was a live show. It was mostly in New York. They would occasionally take it out of New York. And then over time, we were trying to figure out ways to reach new people. I'm going to date myself, but then we printed CDs, and you know, people would take home a CD. We'd be so excited. But eventually, Dan Kennedy, who was a longtime storyteller and host, said, hey guys, you know, are you aware there's this thing called podcasting? And you could put the stories on, we were like, what? And yeah, you could put them out there, then they go out, and people can listen to them on their like iPods. I'm like, that is, but we were like, give the stories away, and we were always about to go under. So it was like, you know, that's crazy. And, but we did it, we decided to do it. And so in 2008, we launched with 5 stories. Like each podcast was just one single story. And we put it out and just prayed. And after 2 weeks, 2,000 people had signed up to follow the show. And we were like, 2,000 people? And we're like, you know, that's like if we had a show at the library and it sold out, and then we printed a CD, and then all 1,000 CDs sold out, plus 500 people. We were blown away by these numbers. And then it just kept going and going and going. One piece of advice if people are starting a podcast is, if you know anyone who has a podcast that's even slightly bigger than yours, ask them to maybe do a trade, to have you on, have them come on. Because what happened is This American Life, the radio show / podcast, started putting some of our stories on the air. And every time they would do it, it would just uplift, uplift, uplift. So I think the first time they did it, we went up 100,000 downloads, and then another 100, and another 100. So it was like absolutely incredible. Yeah, and then a lot of people know the podcast Serial, which really changed everything and got so many more people listening. And the beautiful thing about that is that it was like this thing where all the boats rose together. So Serial suddenly got people who had never thought about listening to a podcast. And all these new listeners came on, and they started listening. And so we were at first a little bummed because we had been top 10, and we were like, we're top 10. And then we dropped, because with people coming in. But we went from about 350,000 downloads per episode to nearly 1 million within a couple of years. And it's because so many more people were coming. And so just, you never know what it's going to be that can take you to the next level. Yeah.
So I guess, that kind of strikes a chord with me. Like, we have all these, you can do a podcast with your phone. There are so many different ways and methods and platforms that should really stretch them. What kind of tips can you give, especially like our listeners right now are going to be a lot of the folks that you met today, and are even the young folks that I work with at Lake Middle School. We have different DJ school there. We have a podcasting there. What kind of advice would you give those students?
Well, one wonderful thing about podcasting is you can be very specific, because you don't have to be going out there trying to be, reaching millions of people. Really healthy podcasts sometimes might have 2,000 listeners, 500, 5,000. But if it's the exact people that you're trying to reach and share ideas with and share information with, it doesn't matter, like, if it's 250 people, something can be sustained. But if they're the right 250 who need to hear exactly what you're going to tell them, I think that is the beauty of this. It's fairly inexpensive to make a podcast. Now that wasn't true for radio. It was like, can you remember radio? How impossible it was to get on the radio.
It was like
nobody
for
was
me.
on the radio.
I got that '80s background, so
right.
I always think about like 300 people in a building, and you got that one guy that grabs the paper off the typewriter and he runs all the way up the stairs to the studio and then hands it to folks up there. Like I always thought that in the back of my mind, but then like with the technology, Jesus. There's only it's one person can do this.
Totally. It was like the gatekeepers upon gatekeepers upon gatekeepers of old radio.
Yes.
And now what's amazing is a piece of advice I heard once, I think from Seth Godin. He's like this marketing guru, and he was like, instead, he felt like the culture was starting to shift. This was maybe five or 10 years ago, and he's like, instead of going out and trying to make a product and then force everyone in the world to think that they want your product. Make a product that you truly love, and then make it your mission to find every other person in the entire world that will also love it. And it's very different, and one is much more organic, and I feel like the second one anyone can do. So it's like, make that thing that you love so much, and then just find your people. And it might take some time, but I think it's worth it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to stick to the questions that we have. And one of the many questions that we have is, in your garden, let's say, I don't even know if you got one, but I'm going to assume that you do.
I do.
What would the garden sign say walking into your garden?
Oh, no, I don't know. Here to listen.
Ooh, okay, here to listen. That's dope. Why? Why is that?
Because I think listening is one of the greatest gifts you can give to anyone. To stop and listen to someone's story and to be curious and ask them questions. It can really be a political act. We used to say at the Moth, dare to listen, have the courage to stop and be in stillness and just connect with the person and listen. Don't be one of the Moth's founder, George Green, would always talk about being at parties where someone would ask you a question and you could tell they weren't listening to your answer. They were just waiting for you to finish so that they could make their point. So to actually sit and not worry about what you're going to say next and just truly take in what that person is trying to tell you is really a radical act these days.
Dare to listen. God, that makes so much sense, especially we're it's almost November, And this is the political scene, and a lot of hot air is being blown all over the place.
Oh my God, you know it.
Whether it be positive or negative. And I think that is extremely important for us to take the time to listen. I think that is a great garden sign to put up in our life. How can our listeners get in contact with you? How can we follow you?
On Instagram, it's a little cheeky. It's maybe not quite my personality, but I was encouraged to go put myself out there. So it's the Catherine Burns. And that's probably the best way to find me. I'm trying to do the LinkedIn, like all the things. But you know, Instagram and even Facebook is where I'm most able to kind of put out my stories and connect. I'm gonna have a website at some point soon. Cooking on a podcast, but not quite ready to explain it yet on my own. I had one idea, now it's like pivoted slightly, so I'm going back in to work on it some more. But yeah, if people follow me there, I will, anything I do, that'll be the first place it goes out.
And is the T-H-E-E or T-H-E?
The T-H-E, and just Catherine, C-A-T-H-E-R-I-N-E, Burns, B-U-R-N-S.
All right, well, thank you for sitting down with us today and sharing your knowledge and giving us tips. And then, of course, working with us and developing like our little storytelling with Big Green DAO. It
was such a labor of love. It truly filled my cup. Like the first person I talked to was Jamala, and I hung up with him and went to Parker and was like, oh my God, and Madeline, I was like, ah! And they were like, yes, exactly. And it was just like, it's been such a wonderful experience, and I can't wait to be cheering you guys on and doing everything I can to help going forward.
Thank you.
Let's keep the change coming, and thank you for powering our plan.
Oh, I love that.
Until next time, y'all. Adios.
It's okay. I think that was too braggy.
No.
That didn't need to be.
No, that's good.
It's sort of,